Well, I got woke up at 3:40 to this right here. I can't sleep over there by that blue garbage can right now because there's fire ants all over the place over there, and they bit me several times last time I slept over there when it was raining, which is the only place I've got really that's got cover that isn't in a bunch of light. Uh, right here close to where I hang out and stay in the streets by this wonderful Illuminati gas station. And if you think that I don't know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't seen the Sean Ross videos from Gure, Chats of Frats, and Homie Land Security that are in my documenting the real enemy category in my playlist, then you might not understand what I'm fixing to show you. But trust me, there is a pattern there. The QAnon thing was a bunch of bullcrap. I followed it for a couple of years and thought Donald Trump was somebody good, but I now know the truth, which is really scary and ugly to a lot of people when they first learn it. Uh, that they're all enemy combatants of freedom and working for a foreign corporation known as the United States of America, Inc. But anyway, the Chevron logo right here. Let me get a close up so you can see what I'm talking about. If you watch Sean Ross videos, you'll see an awful lot of this. And I'm not saying that Sean Ross is 100% right, but he's 98% right. He goes off on a tangent from time to time, but he has a degree in military history, and I think he has a doctorate in military history, so he knows what he's talking about. I recommend you watch those videos. But if you look at this logo and you know anything about Freemasons and basically the occult, the ancient occult that has taken over this entire planet in multiple very important ways, including having all the real money, the gold and the silver, in their global banks. You see this chevron symbol. Number one, it's in the three colors of Egypt. Why do I say it's in the three colors of Egypt? Because, as Sean Ross documents, in ancient Egypt, they had the kingdom split into two sections, the north and the south. One was basically known as the Red House, and the other one was known as the White House, respectively, North and South Egypt. And then the Blue House was the War House, which is why the United States flag has the color blue in there, because these esoteric, mystical knowledge gathering and hoarding people from way back knew that the United States was going to be basically a military power that they were going to utilize to do their bidding. But if you look at this symbol, you see a red square and a blue square. And if you see these two shapes, which are made by supposedly a shadow or whatever is supposed by it, you see basically the same dimensions as the compass. The two symbols that are put together that are basically the Freemason logo. And these initiates into these secret societies, with Freemasonry being kind of like an entry level point into the secret societies and then moving further and further up. Richard Dreyfuss, the actor, there's a video that's uh, in my playlist I recently put in there where Richard Dreyfuss talks about wanting to move to into being a Rosicrucian from Freemasonry, once he got to the 33rd or 30th degree or whatever. And the video talks about, uh, he talks about having that as a goal. But anyway, this symbol to the initiates in Freemasonry says square and compass, which is the Freemason uh, logo or symbol, if you will. And not only that, but it's in the pharaonic colors of our masters, like Sean Ross would say, red, white, and blue. Uh, the Swiss flag is red and white. It's an inversion between those two colors of basically the Red Cross. Who do you think runs the Red Cross? Who do you think formed it? Where does the word hospital come from? It comes from the Hospitallers, which were a shoot off, basically, of Freemasonry. They were Freemasons. They were Knights Templars. The Knights Templars were these same bad actors, these occult oriented people uh, in an organized way with a different mask on. They also wore the Nazi mask because they created the Nazis and funded the Nazis and organized Hitler and helped fund him and get him organized for World War II. They organized every war, uh, basically, and had ulterior motives for all of them. If you don't know what's really going on in the world and you think that there needs to be change, that's just the beginning step. Because once you realize what's really been going on and you start waking up, and if you have uh, enough care for your fellow man, or your country, or whatever it is that drives you into thirsting for knowledge and facts about what history actually can show you, uh, then you start watching videos like what's in my playlist by people that have documented and done the research for you. That's why being a caveman like myself and not being somebody that's ever had a laptop or a desktop computer, uh, that got his first phone about 9 years ago, or first computer about 9 years ago. I've done all my research on YouTube, but I promise you, if you look and spend the time that I have on YouTube and get some bumps and bruises from making mistakes and believing the wrong people initially for a couple of years or whatever, 2 or 3 years, maybe 4, I was still getting tricked by some of the tricksters that are out there on social media. And there's plenty of them. Some of them are getting paid by the Pentagon. Some of them are getting paid by the CIA. Some of them are getting paid by the FBI. Some of them are just given some privileges, wink, wink, uh, in order to go out there and be influencers on social media. Jordan Peterson, Tucker Carlson, you know, Megyn Kelly, all these people that came out of mainstream media, you know, uh, Alex Jones. Alex Jones admits he's from a CIA family and that he wants to see a Swiss system. Yeah, I bet you do. It's coming because homelessness is illegal in Switzerland. They will lock you up, and that's coming here in America. If you think this is the land of the free, it's the land of the free. It's the land of the free for those that are good little debt slaves and go get into debt and get a mortgage and get married and get 2 car notes and pay all their insurance and all their taxes and blah 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 blah. Yeah, they'll leave you alone, let you until they get ready to get rid of you, which they're probably fixing to do that, just like they did in Germany. One of the reasons that World War One and World War II happened is because way back long before those 2 wars, the Germans were the ones that gave the Knights Templar and the organized uh, military of these same people long ago the most trouble. They fought them and beat and whooped their ass. Uh, I think more than once, but at least once. One big good ass whooping. And so you know they they kind of inserted their bloodline into the German population by having those two wars and wiping out the patriarchy, the men of Germany, in those two wars, and and kind of inserting themselves in there even more than they already were. They were already there. There were already aristocratic families there, uh, and that's basically, the monarchy, the aristocrats, the nobles. Um, you know, since you know 800 AD to 1000 AD, it's all them, the enemy, and these are smart guys. Sean Ross will tell you these are not stupid people. They're smart people. They work outside of one single generation. They make plans and lay out plans and goals and how to get there very systematically. And they started really consolidating their efforts in that respect a couple of thousand years ago, really. You know, uh, so but yeah, if you think your government, if you think Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or George W. Bush or Bill Clinton or George H.W. Bush or Ronald Reagan or Gerald Ford, any of these people that have been presidents and these government officials and Congress, if you think this thing's about freedom and liberty and all that kind of stuff, it's not. It never has been. Unfortunately, it's depressing being 55 years old and having grown up in this country and having learned what I've learned. And the sad part about it is that they've used propaganda and mass mind control and manipulation, and uh, false reporting of history and news and the media and everything to really dumb down, and the school system education, and to really dumb down people to the point to where now you have a country that saw the Jeffrey Epstein thing go down and even saw mainstream media mention that there might be blackmail, political blackmail going on, and everything, and people just kind of shrugged. The whole society as a whole just kind of shrugged and moved on. Yeah, people talk about it. Yeah, you see, if that doesn't indicate that there's a real serious problem, and that's why I love Whitney Webb so much. Whitney Webb, I mean, her book "One Nation Under Blackmail" is almost 1,000 pages. You're talking about somebody that got a fire in them to go and dig up everything. Probably the best analysis, in-depth analysis of everything Jeffrey Epstein and connected to Jeffrey Epstein, what he was involved in, and who was involved in those same things with him, which wasn't just child trafficking and pedophilia. All that stuff was dug up and documented, backed up 2 or 3 or 4 times by multiple sources, and researched and put into a book by Whitney Webb. And I really believe that she is one of the most important people on the planet. I also do believe that Sean Ross is one of the most important people on the planet. And I believe Justinian Deception, the channel out of Australia where Romley and his friend did all that research on the fraudulent legal system that's also rigged against us, where they've tricked us into accepting the straw man account, the dead identity, the identity of a commodity. And we did it because we presumed that it was a legitimate law. You know, they tricked us into actually accepting it. That's why one of the That's why one of the sayings of these elite lizards, wink wink, don't necessarily buy into that. The name of my channel is kind of a joke a little bit. I'm kind of getting away from all the religious belief because I'm starting to think that that's probably rigged and created from them for mass mind control as well. But one of the sayings that they have had, I forget who, I don't know if it was a Rothschild or who it was that quoted it, but said that if a man can be fooled, let him be fooled. And that's exactly what they think. You know, a lot of people think about witchcraft and sorcery, and oh my goodness, we got Jesus against all the Satan worshippers. Well, you know, sorcery, sorcery and witchcraft is really just about deception. It's not necessarily about paranormal ability to make stuff jump up off the kitchen table and float in the air or whatever, stuff like that. No, it's about deception. The ability to deceive and manipulate millions and millions and millions and millions upon tens of millions of people and corral them into believing certain things and having certain perspectives so that you can rule over them. It's really all about ruling, you know, ruling the planet, having all of the actual money, the gold and the silver and the mineral resources. You know, why do you think that before the United States even came along, that big power countries like Great Britain and Spain and France and stuff were running all over the planet with these armies and these or all over Asia anyway, and Africa and wherever else they could get to, you know, enslaving the native population and going after diamonds and gold and resources and all that stuff. You know, they've been gathering all of the actual wealth on the planet for themselves, the actual money, the actual tradable commodities, and they turned us with their legal system, as Justinian deception illustrates so succinctly, also into commodities. So yeah, you know, uh, you you just gotta you know, the only way to win this battle for freedom, if it can even be won at this point, because they have multiplied. It is a big family with many tree branches that branch out, and then that branches out. They've got a big, huge family that's running this, and 99% of this planet, or 95% of it at least, the richest 95% of it. Um, you know, they even have bloodline that's in the Islamic world. The guy at Middle Nation, Mr. Bolson, who is a very smart guy, that's in some of his videos are in my playlist. Even he doesn't realize, or maybe he does. I don't know. You know, you never know who's an asset of intelligence these days, because the manipulations that they're doing are quite complex. But even he doesn't realize that, you know, these people have infiltrated Islam as well. A lot of these Islamic leaders from the Islamic nations and whatnot are bloodline aristocrats that are, you know, they look like the indigenous people because they have mixed with those indigenous people of that country and that area of the world, because that's what they do. That's why the Egyptian obelisk uh, in Washington D.C. If you look down at it from the air, it's penetrating an oval shape, a football shaped, uh, you know, that's a football shape that's formed by the sidewalk on the ground. And you look down at it, and it's an obelisk poking through a uh, an oval, which represents the womb. That's them telling us how they have infiltrated and taken over the world. And the obelisks are all over the place. They're at the Vatican, which the Vatican's also involved in all this stuff. So anyway, I'm kind of babbling now, so I'm going to stop. But I meant to point this out about the chevron symbol. Chevron right now, as we speak, according to Whitney Webb. Was it Whitney Webb or somebody else? Anyway, Chevron is attempting to get the leader of Venezuela right now to sign some sort of unidroit treaty thing or whatever these tricky international government treaties are to allow Chevron to basically have their way with the oil that comes out of Venezuela, or at least manipulate Venezuela into trading their oil utilizing the currency of the dollar, the Federal Reserve note, because that's what props the it's based on it's called the petrodollar because it supports it's no longer backed by gold, it's backed by oil, supposedly, but I'm pretty sure that that's accurate, that it's backed by the commodity of oil and crude uh, since 71 or 2 or 3, whenever we came off the gold standard. It's been backed by oil, which is why oil is so important, and that's a big reason why we went over into the Middle East and took out countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and overthrew Libya and Syria and all this stuff. It's crazy. Uh, that's if you haven't seen the Zeitgeist movies, the interview with the guy that was a CIA, what he termed a jackal, which was these people sent in to coerce foreign leaders into cooperating with what the United States wanted out of them, which was basically their resources and control of their country. Uh, his book, which was written decades ago, I believe, at least 3 decades ago, I think, called "Confessions of an Economic Hitman." I do want to get that book. Um, I've done more reading in the past 2 or 3 years than I've done basically my whole life, and I've read some good books, which I probably should do a video and mention those for the 9 of you and that have subscribed to my channel. I appreciate everybody that subscribed. I'm not looking for subscribers. I'm looking for half of the population of this country to go and watch every video that's in my playlist twice, so that they get mad enough to get rid of these people that have us enslaved, literally enslaved, debt slaves, debt slavery. It's hard though, because they realize that the masses basically live generation to generation and don't do what they do, which is pass all of their important knowledge on from generation to generation and build it through time, rather than uh, than people, especially the men who are supposed to, be protectors of the family and keep themselves fully informed on any threats to the family. That's over with. I mean, you got the manliest men on the planet that are ex-military, like Black Scout Survival. Uh, there may be a couple of his videos. I don't like him anymore because he's just a big Trump supporter. But a lot of these ex-military people, you know, they 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 either come back from foreign wars and get addicted to the chemical warfare, which is the drugs in the streets, and end up dying in the streets from heroin overdoses or whatever, or they come back and keep marching on and become uh, become wise to the trickery and the deception and the real purpose of the U.S. military, and the government, for that matter, or they kind of toe the line a little bit. Um, Black Scout Survival kind of skirts the fence. He's supportive of Trump and everything, and thinks Trump is the good guy and he's gonna save America and everything. But But he also gets into conspiracy theories and claims to, know that there's false flags and psychological operations and all kinds of stuff that can be easily documented, even without YouTube content creators, by going and just looking up government documents and congressional hearings and newspaper articles and stuff like that. You know. Uh, but yeah, anyway, I'm gonna cut this off now. So, got a few other things that I might put out some videos over the next week or two, discussing a few things. One of them being militias. You know, I find it interesting that the purpose that the state militias were supposed to be protecting the communities and the states and the freedoms that are wink wink that were supposedly given in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the amendments and all of that. And seems to me the state militias are dropping the ball because they're not really doing much other than getting together and drinking a few beers and maybe going through some training exercises. Meanwhile, you've got a foreign power corporation that's being overseen by the same occult-oriented freaks, uh, psychopaths that that's been running this country and this so-called government for apparatus here for a long time, and they're doing horrible things, including trafficking the drugs, trafficking the arms, trafficking the weapons, trafficking kids. They're just doing whatever they want and getting away with it. Meanwhile, if that truck that just passed by had come by through here and a cop was sitting over here and he had a tail light out, he'd get pulled over and get his Fourth Amendment crapped on, and the cop would insist that he get to search his truck for anything illegal that you shouldn't have. You know, the, if it was heroin or cocaine, chances are the military brought it in, or the government brought it in, or the mob brought it in because they work with the intelligence agencies. Whitney Webb will make that clear. You go watch her stuff in my playlist. Anyway, I'm done. I might have to smoke my last cigarette and wait another 2.5 hours before I can get into this store. Goodbye. Okay, this piece of shit won't stop.